Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment.
I didn't know we were having original theme music. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Is it going to be the same each week, or are you just going to do a random little play?
Random.
Oh, yeah. All right. When you said you were going to introduce it, was that the intro? I thought you were
Yeah.
actually going to speak.
Yeah.
You're not doing any speaking on the intro?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. We've started.
Well, you have to introduce the podcast.
That's the introduction. So I'm doing the introduction then.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to a brand new podcast. This is the
JGB Sports Podcast.
Hey, you said I was doing the introduction. Which way are we doing this? Now, this was originally supposed to be a wrestling review for possibly Pizza Party Wrestling. And in the end, that didn't quite happen. And anyway, normally we would talk about what we did on the day. So I was trying to plan things to heading towards New Jersey, and I saw this one first. So this starts off from April 4th at CoppinState.com. Coppin State University's baseball team, Major League Baseball, and the Baltimore Orioles will host a free introductory baseball/softball event on Saturday, April 9th at Joe Cannon Stadium in Hanover, Maryland. The event, intended for boys and girls aged 5 and 12, will begin at 9 a.m. with check-in beginning at 8:30 a.m. Coppin State University baseball players and coaches will guide participants through sports drills and other activities meant to build their skills. This also serves as an opportunity for Coppin State University to engage with the community through athletics. Baseball is a wonderful sport and has brought a generation of people and communities together for decades, said Coppin State University president, etc., etc. Basically, he said that hopefully you would learn how to not just be an athlete, but basically be a student athlete, etc., etc. Now, the thing that caught my eye is that when I looked at this, all participants will receive a free play ball t-shirt, wristband, and bat and ball set to take home. Also, participants and their families are encouraged to stay and watch the Eagles take on Norfolk State,
glasses and hats too.
12 p.m. All right, we had the doorbell go there, but I think basically we were saying the things that you got, and you mentioned there was extra stuff that we got as well. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff. Now you did a similar one to this at, I think it was the Washington Nationals.
That was like a mini
All-Star
field
game. It was, and then there was one in Cleveland, but we didn't actually. I don't think we signed up for that one. But so I thought it was going to be like that, where you play a game, but when we turned out, it wasn't that at all. So anyway, I saw this actually on the Orioles email, and I was like, shoot, if we're going up to New Jersey anyway, this is on the way. This makes New Jersey even closer. So that's what we plan to do. Okay. And then I was really tired, and I told you on the day, I was like, there's no way I can make it up to New Jersey. By the time we get back, it's going to be like 1 a.m. I'd already been up since like 4:30 a.m. So I was like, hey, that's off the cards. I did see an event in Martinsburg, West Virginia, just as we were leaving, which is only an hour and a half from this. So I was like, hey, that's going to be our review. It's like World Domination Wrestling. We'll go do that. And then that didn't happen either.
At the play ball event, I got...
Hold on. We're not even there yet. So we got up. I got you up about 7 o'clock. No traffic, considering it was spring break. That was pretty good. We took a picture at the sign that said Joe Cannon Stadium, because I thought that was cool. An email came through at about that time, JJ, that said 8:24 a.m. Saturday morning. Good morning, play ball parents. We're still on for this morning, but please be aware the field is soggy. We'll stick to the outfield grass for our activities, but please consider dressing your child in shoes that you do not mind getting wet or muddy. Thanks, and hope to see everybody soon. Now, considering we were supposed to check in at 8:30, and it took us about an hour to get there was no way we could have changed anything. So anyway, it was fine. We were probably one of the first people in there, I'm guessing. There was probably like 3 or 4 people ahead of you.
Yeah.
And as we got in there, as we signed our first thing, they were like, hey, Dad, he's not going to need his glove. I was like, oh. So straight away, I knew this was not the same thing as the one that we'd been to before. We waited in the stands, and what happened then? We just sat in the stands?
Yeah, we did nothing.
Okay, for the rest of the day?
Except watching them set it up, and then it took then it was like 40 minutes. It was like 40, 50
It was, because it started at 9 o'clock, so we were there probably about 25 minutes or so. They actually called us down a bit before that. They called you onto the field. They wanted some picture opportunities. There were several people that came there. One of them was the vice president of MLB. I think that's for the title. And he actually talked about this, so I started to look for some of the things they talked about for people who don't know the play ball. So the play ball series relaunched in March after a hiatus during the COVID-19 pandemic. David James, Major League Baseball's vice president for baseball and softball development, says 2022 is an opportunity opportunity to extend the reach and influence of baseball in all communities. Pre-COVID, we had plans to hit almost a dozen HBCUs, and then obviously the world changed a little bit. We're getting back to this early in the season and making sure that we go to communities where we don't necessarily play, things like that, and make sure that we come to these communities and give kids an opportunity to participate. Now, one of those actually was from February 2020, I saw. So this is literally a month before COVID. New Orleans, hopes, dreams, and having fun. These were the basic elements of the celebration of National Girls and Women in Sports Day, staged at the MLB Youth Academy at Wesley Barrow Stadium. A morning MLB group for boys and girls aged 5 to 12, followed by an afternoon softball and baseball clinic targeted specifically at high school students. This is an incredible opportunity to reach young ladies and empower them and encourage them. Yes, on the field, but just as importantly off the field, said Jenny Finch, who was a softball gold medalist for the US. So yeah, they did start to do these events. It did say on here, Jay, approximately 400 youth participated in the New Orleans event. About 250 of these were 12 or younger. One of the things I said to you when I signed up, I said there was 180 spots left. And I was like, that's a lot left. I was like, I wonder how many people are supposed to be there. Because it was like, if it's only 200, then there's not going to be many. If it was 500, then it's going to be a really big event. So this one was about 250, so that left about 70. I would say that's about how many you had, right?
Yeah.
I think that was about right. Do you know how many people were in your group? I think there was like 5 groups.
There was like, probably like 7 people in my group.
Okay, so if there was 5 groups, and of course not everybody turned up necessarily.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it wasn't too many, which was great for you.
Yeah, it was like only around like 25 people.
Mm-hmm. I think there was a few more than that, but there was more than 5 in each group because I was watching as you were going on. I would say there was probably 7 to 10 people in each group. But anyway, some people might not have come if it was looking rainy as well, and if it was that little bit muddy, so that might have took some numbers down as well. So what were you actually doing while these people were talking? Could you hear them at all?
Yeah, I could hear them.
Because we had to drop you off. We had to take you to the gate, and then you walked into the main area behind home plate, and then we kind of left and went up into the stands again. So
yeah, while they were talking, I tried to find a dry spot, so my feet wouldn't sink into the sand.
Very clever.
Because they were sinking into the sand.
Very clever.
So I stood at the end of the grass, and the same thing happened with the back of my feet instead. So I went all the way to the back, where it was actually like dry, and then when they did the pictures, I got to stand next to the Orioles person.
Okay, and that's the next person I was going to mention. So I was going to mention some of the people who were there. This was Al Bunbury, Alonzo Benjamin Bunbury. April 21st, 1947, is a former Major League player, outfield for the Baltimore Orioles and San Diego Padres. From 1972 through 1985, Bunbury was the 1973 American League Rookie of the Year and went on to be an All-Star and World Series champion, twice with the Orioles. I think it was 79 and 83, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
He is an inductee of the Baltimore Orioles Hall of Fame and the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. Prior to his Major League career, Bunbury served in the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War and was awarded a Bronze Star. I also saw he was actually born in Fredericksburg. Now, I'm kind of reading that in a very kind of deliberate style. One of the things that you've liked listening to in the car recently is something I used to listen to about 15 years ago. It was called the Baseball History Podcast with Bob Wright, and you like to listen to those as well. So, this is we've kind of glossed over it a little bit. What started off was going to be a wrestling review. You actually said you wanted to start reviewing baseball, or you want to start reviewing different sports.
Yeah, like high school, college, and like Major League.
And we're going to an Orioles game, so this is going to be listed as episode 1, and it's going to be baseball. And you already talked about during the off season you might want to do football, or you might want to do something totally different.
So I said we could switch between football and soccer. I'm going to do the football one with Mason, soccer one with you, Dad.
Oh, we could possibly do something like that. So
it's going to be soccer from England.
This is the podcast that I should have been doing years ago. I was never supposed to do a wrestling podcast. I was always supposed to do a baseball podcast if I was ever going to do one, and I think this suits me fine. I think the other person that spoke was the Coppin State coach, which was Sherman Reed, the 2008 MEAC Coach of the Year and winningest skipper in school history, and his 11th season as head coach of the Coppin State program. After spending 2 seasons as an assistant, during the last 2 seasons, arguably the 2 best in school history, the Eagles have gone a league best 33-13 in MEAC games. And he actually said, I think, that the Eagles are top of their division at the time, when we talked about this. During his first 3 seasons at the helm, Reed worked tirelessly on the recruiting trail to help turn the Coppin State program around. The 2012 edition of the Eagles featured 20 freshmen and sophomores laying the foundation for success in the coming years. Yeah, that's a young team. The fruits of his labor really paid off in the 2018 season when the Eagles won their first division title since 1996 with an 18-4 conference record. They had the Coppin State assistant principal there as well. And one of the quotes I saw for him was, he said, Derek Carter, he continued his belief in community engagement by requiring each athletic team to become involved in at least one community project each semester. That's kind of similar to the thing that Mason has to do with the NHS, or I think he's in the Junior National Honor Society. And while this was going on as well, I saw the mascot was coming out, and I looked on the back of the mascot, and it was like, name's Jackson. I was like, perfect. So the mascot's Jackson. I was like, we got to get a picture with you later, and we did manage to get that. Do you want to tell us about those different stations? You kind of talked about one. So which stations were there?
There was agility. There was like a mini baseball game. There was a hitting one, and there was pop-up and grounders. That's all I remember.
Okay. Well, this is going to be interesting then. And they said to the parents,
like, for the hitting one, I nearly hit it out both times.
Well, the wind was behind, and as I was about to say, they said to parents, like, we got them for 90 minutes. Most people just sat in the stands. I was like, I'm going to walk around the outside, because there was a path that went right around the outside of the stadium. And I was like, I'm going to get my steps in as well. I saw a playground, which we went to later as well. And it worked. It kind of worked perfectly. I came in with about the last 25 minutes or so I could kind of watch you a little bit. Do you want to talk any more about any of those segments that you did? Like, which was your favorite? Which was your worst? I also saw the mascot was involved in one, because I said, did you get to do one with the mascot? And you said he wasn't there when you were there, I think.
So during the mini baseball game, for the first hit, it went so far I got time to run to third base.
You said that was one of your aims.
On the second, and then I asked them if I could steal bases, and they said no.
No, I told you it's for fun. This is some people have never played baseball before. You did T-ball in 1 season, but I don't think you played in 2 years, because you did soccer last year. You've been doing basketball. You did some lacrosse last year as well. So it's been a while since you played. And you sat out most of your T-ball season as well, because you had your broken wrist as well.
So also, during the mini baseball game, I was scared, from passing to second to third, because the shortstop was kind of fast, and also, he was kind of intimidating.
Okay.
As well. So
was that one of the players?
Yes. So okay. It was like one of the people going. It was one of the people who later went onto the field for the pledge. So
that's one of the players. You mean the anthem as well, not pledge?
Anthem. Yeah, it was one of the students from the play ball thing there.
Oh, okay.
So I had to run fast to get past him.
Ah, gotcha.
That was in like the second round that we batted. So that was kind of hard. And also I got home in probably about 3 hits.
Okay.
On the second round. I got home in 2 hits.
Okay.
My hit and another one's hit. My hit and 2 other people's hits.
But yeah, as I was walking around the outside, there was a lot at one point of balls, so I was throwing them back over the fence, because the coach was like, the wind's carrying them out. And when I was at that hitting station, it was facing towards me. Well, so they needed to set that up a little further away from that fence, really. But hey, if the wind was carrying them as well, that's fair enough. So yeah, they called the parents. They're like, come on down, come and pick up your kids. And Jackson was still there, the mascot. So I was like, we had to wait for a while. Everyone wanted a picture with him.
Dad made it so we couldn't get one of the hats.
You already had a hat. There was extra hats for the CSU, but yeah, you missed it by like 1 person. But hey, that's fine. You had plenty of stuff. You got those really cool Orioles sunglasses. We got like a window cling. You got an extra ball you can use. You got to pick out your bat and ball as well, either blue or red. So you got those. At least
instead of getting the hat, I could still get a baseball that went too far. From a home run.
And this time it was only 10:45, and the game wasn't starting until 12. And I was
we
like,
got McDonald's.
You're going to be hungry. We didn't go to McDonald's. We went to Wendy's. We went to Wendy's. Now, I think actually you talked to the coach as we were leaving, because I think he asked you, he's like, did you have fun and everything? You were like, yeah. And then he's like, what sport were you doing out there? And I don't think you realized he was messing with you. And he's like, was it basketball? I was like, well, nah. So you were like, no, it was baseball. And I was like, it's funny though, because we've just been doing basketball camp for the last 6 weeks. So luckily it finished, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to go to this one. So we went to Wendy's, we ordered from the app, because you don't like anything on your burger basically except for the burger itself, and we ordered eat in, and then all the doors were locked, couldn't get in. And I'm like, how do we get refills and everything? They're like, oh, we'll bring you bigger drinks. And I'm like, okay. And then they were like, oh, do you want to come in and eat? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, go ahead, you can just come in and sit.
So we got an extra, way too big of a drink. For a small.
We did, yeah.
And we also paid for it as a small. Yeah. Which is even better.
And your burger they messed up on. You have the junior cheeseburger. With bacon cheeseburger, but you don't like cheese on it, so they forgot. They put bacon on mine, which wasn't supposed to have it, which I didn't realize at the time because I was opening yours up. So I was like, "Oh, can you just put some bacon on here?" She put like 6 pieces of bacon on. It's normally like 1 piece.
So Dad had to steal mine.
You had more than enough. I wanted the next. Well, I didn't think I had any. I didn't think I had any bacon on mine, and then when I looked, that's what they did. They obviously put it on the wrong burger. So anyway, we got back probably about 11:30, so there's still half an hour. You wanted to check out that playground, so we did that. And then while I was over there, I saw on Twitter there was a delay of game for an hour. I was like, ah. So we hung over there a little bit longer.
And then another one.
Hold on. Yeah, we'll get there. And we went over. And, by the time it was almost getting ready to start again, we were back in the stadium. And Norfolk State players were throwing the ball around. They were playing like games just to keep themselves entertained. And then they announced a second hour. And I was thinking at this point, I was like, you're not going to want to stay for that. And then you were like, yeah, I don't mind staying. I was like, okay, that's fine. I posted a few tweets thanking the people. It
only felt like 40 minutes I had to wait.
We did a little walk around the park. You got to play on the playground. It was fine. We sat in the car for a little bit, had some drink. You played a little game on my phone. Not for very long, but we did a few different things. So we kept ourselves entertained, and then just as we sat down, and I'd actually missed a tweet. When I'd said we'd had so much fun, they'd actually tweeted us and said, where are you sat? And I hadn't seen that. Anyway, so as soon as we sat down, someone came over and was like, is it Mason? And I was like, no, it's Jackson. I think they must have been looking on my feed because I posted a picture with Mason. And they were like, do you want to be part of the anthem? And you were like, yeah, I'd like to go on the field. So we walked through the stadium, went through the dugout.
I got to go to the dugout.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I really wanted to see what they looked like. And also, I got to see like all the players. I got to nearly hit one of the players in the head with the baseball.
He was throwing the ball and he was asking you to take little swings, and there was another person who was doing it. And then I have the video, and yeah, you hit it, and it knocked his hat off. Like it could have hit him in the face easily. But he said, "Good shot, kid," or "Great shot," or something like that. It was, but. It's not like you took a big swing or anything. It's just you hit it from the middle of the bat, and he told you to stand where you did, so you were kind of close. But yeah, that was kind of funny. And then
he should have stood to the side just in case that happened as well.
And I didn't really know where to stand because we were trying to stand out the way.
They should just pick a kid from the crowd, and let them do the first swing of the game.
First pitch.
Yeah.
Problem is, most kids can't do an accurate first pitch, though. So they'll normally have an adult or somebody.
And also, someone hit as well.
There's no such thing as a first hit.
Yeah,
they don't do that.
There should, Dad.
No, perhaps they should, but they don't do that
They should have a kid.
So anyway, when we came up, they were going to do the introduction of the players first, and at that point, I kind of pulled you because they had the tunnel so that they could go through and give everyone high fives. So I kind of dragged you across. I was like, "Hey, look, just stand here. You can get high fives as well." So you got to give them high fives, and then you went out onto the field for the anthem. I wasn't with you because I stood to the side because I was like,
I was the closest to first.
So go ahead, tell us.
I was the closest to home.
Okay.
Plate, Dad.
Were you next to the coach?
No.
You were next to the players?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was next to the home plate.
Okay.
And I knew the way back, but Dad was like,
well, there was a lot of things going on. There was a lot of things going on though, but there was like a training room where people were getting changed and stuff, and I was like, we don't want to interfere with their game while we're getting started, so we just exited through the side gate and then went back to our seats. It wasn't we couldn't find our way back. I just didn't want to interfere with them because they had to get there. They had to go get their gloves out, ready to get in the field. They were ready to start a game. It's a proper game. I didn't want us getting in the way of them trying to get their stuff out. So, anyway, we went back to our seat. You already had your book with you at this point, because you said that you wanted to kind of take, like, notes or something. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the team then. So, Coppin State University is a historical black institution. The university fosters leadership, social responsibility, civic and community engagement, cultural diversity and inclusion. So, Coppin State University was founded in 1900. It first had a one-year training course for the preparation of African-American elementary school teachers. And by 1902, the training program was expanded to a 2-year normal department within the high school. In 1926, this facility for teacher training was named the Fanny Jackson Coppin Normal School, in honor of an African-American woman who was a pioneer in teacher education. Fanny Jackson Coppin was born into slavery, and Fanny Jackson's freedom was purchased by her aunt for $125 at age 12. I think this was around 1850. I'm like, that's a lot of money in 1850. Fanny Jackson spent the rest of her youth in Newport, Rhode Island, working as a servant for author George Henry Calvert and studying at every opportunity. So this person, Coppin, who the university is named after, there's another connection to Jackson. That was part of her name as well. So I was like, wow, there's a lot of Jacksons here. We've got the mascot Jackson, we've got the person who the university is named after.
And me.
Etc. And you, of course, yeah. StadiumJourney.com, I found a little bit about Joe Cannon Stadium. It's located in Harmons Park is it Arundel County Park?
Yeah, Arundel.
Yeah, and it's home to the Coppin State Eagles team. The stadium is located in Hanover, but that's almost half an hour drive from the Coppin's campus in Baltimore. That's what I was looking for as we were driving there, because you mentioned you thought the casino was like a university to begin with. I didn't realize they're actually in Baltimore, so they have to drive half an hour to get to their games.
Why?
It was built in 1990, and the capacity is about 1,500. Now, you asked about the size. You asked, like, are all college stadiums like this? And I think you noticed the difference between major league stadiums. I said, yeah, most college stadiums only have seating on, like, behind home plate, and some will go out alongside of third base, and some will go outside the first base. So this one was 1,500. I looked at what the biggest ones were. So you know MLB stadiums are much bigger. The biggest college stadium is in Omaha, which is 24,000. The second biggest one is 15,000 in Utah. Now, the reason the one in Omaha is so big is that's where the World Series is held for college. The College World Series. The fifth biggest one is actually Richmond, VCU. It's the Diamond. That's where the Flying Squirrels play. Oh, nice. So I reckon I knew that one. I didn't know that was built in 1985, though. I thought that was much older than that. So as for comparison, then, the biggest MLB stadiums, JJ, Dodger Stadium is 56,000. Coors Field for Denver is 50. And then Toronto, Phoenix, and Seattle both have high 48,000 area. The smallest MLB stadium, to give you an idea, is 25,000. So the smallest MLB stadium is bigger than the biggest college stadium. So I was kind of curious about that. All right, so when you started, you kind of just did a generic thing in your notes. Like, you were just recording, like, strikes, singles, doubles, and you just kind of put in little tally marks. So do you want to talk about the first inning? Because this was kind of an important one for the game.
So
obviously Norfolk State's up first, obviously, because they're the waiting.
So first, Norfolk State got 5 runs in the first half of the inning while they were betting.
And I think they got 4 without even giving up an out, possibly. Like, they were just getting hit after hit after hit. And I was thinking at some point, particularly when they were 5 down, I was like, they're probably going to pull the pitcher at this point before it gets really out of control. And I told you in the car today, I was like, I realized why this wasn't going to happen. We didn't realize at the time, or initially when we went there, but we realized at the start of the game, this was a doubleheader. So you don't just have to play one game, you've got to play 2 games. And the Sunday was a doubleheader as well. So they had 4 games to play in 2 days. So if you keep pulling pitchers, you're going to have no pitchers for the second game, or you might not even have any pitchers for the next game. So they pretty much had to leave your pitchers in, knowing they had 4 games in 2 days. I think it was at this point as well, if it wasn't the bottom of the first, it was around this area. The official scorer came across and wanted to talk to you and said, do you want to come and see what I do, right?
Yep.
Go ahead, tell us what happened.
He showed me, like what they did, and it was kind of, like, really complicated.
It is. They were doing it on the he was doing it on the computer as well.
Yeah. So I and then the person who put the scoreboard, who put the stuff on the scoreboard, said, do you want to do a little bit of the scoreboard. So I got to do a strike, and then that was the strikeout. So I put an out, and then I had to press an out again.
You have to kind of reset it after each at bat as well.
If there's an out after the second out, you have to press it twice.
So, because you don't leave it up as 3 outs.
No.
Or you might leave it up for a few seconds, but then you got to get it back to 0, ready for the start of the next one. So, yeah, you told me about that. And then at that point, you were really interested in the scoring side of it. So I was like, do you want to kind of learn how to score properly? Because we mentioned the fact we're going to the Orioles game. So I kind of talked about how you do, like, all the positions have numbers and, like, each of the outs have some letters. So we practiced kind of doing that. It was difficult because we didn't have an official scorecard either. So we just kind of wrote down batter 1, batter 2, or whatever. Do you want to talk about...
We didn't write down anything.
Well, but you knew because it was the first person. Like, you didn't write down who it was, but whoever's batting first in that inning. So, do you want to tell us what you learned then about scoring?
So that, like a regular K is like strikeout swinging.
K is a strikeout swinging, yeah.
And backwards K is a strikeout while looking.
Yeah, so that's when the ball passes over home plate. It should be a strike, but they just don't swing at it. So yeah.
And then if you like have a number, and then like a little dash, and then another number. That means like that number caught it and do it to the next number.
So what do those numbers mean though? How do you figure out those numbers?
So like you look up onto the thing, and then like it's just a diamond.
Okay.
With the numbers.
Okay, so I drew a little picture for you. So tell us the positions though. Tell us how you know.
So pitcher's 1, catcher's 2, first base 3, second base is 4, third base is 5, shortstop is 6, left field is 7, center field is 8. Right field is 9.
And I had to go and ask the official scorer because I couldn't remember because it's a long time since I've done it, where you start on the outfield, whether you start on the left or the right. So I couldn't remember. I knew center field was 8, but I couldn't remember who was 7. So we had to find that out as well. So yeah, we talked about having to do that as well. We talked about the different outs as well. Like for the outfield, is it a line drive with L? Is it a fly ball, F? We talked about pop-ups. And thankfully, we didn't actually see any double plays. Sometimes you'll get the shortstop throw it to the second base for the first out, and then they'll throw it to the
third base.
First baseman for the second out. Now, actually, just as you were going across to look at that, something really interesting nearly happened. They tried, as they were in that first inning.
So they tried to get to the third base, and then another person came back, I think.
They were trying to steal home plate, and the pitcher didn't throw it, and he was too far off his base, so he was kind of running between. Now, the person if they get back to third base, they're safe. So you have to try and run it close, and then you throw it to third base, and then you normally get a rundown between third base and home plate with the catcher. And you kind of have a little relay where you have to run around. And sometimes you can get scores like 1, the pitcher throws to 6, the third baseman, who throws to the catcher, 2, and then who throws to the pitcher, who normally goes and backs up. And then you get a whole long line of numbers. But luckily, it went straight to the pitcher.
1 to 5.
Luckily, it went straight to the pitcher, who then just tagged the person. So it was just caught stealing.
1
so
to
it was
5,
kind of easy.
And then
1-5, yes.
And then to 2. Maybe.
And then to 2. But then normally the pitcher will go behind after he's thrown. So then he's ready for the next one. So they get a long line, and eventually they'll get the person out. Normally they'll get the person out, but yeah, it can be really confusing. So yeah, they were down by 5. You started doing your proper scoring. There was a lot of foul balls in this one as well. And we saw one in particular, and we saw where it went. So we went out, and yeah, you managed to get yourself a ball. And
that's my first of many I'm collecting.
First, yeah, you. I'm gonna say you've already put what game it was from, and date, which teams were playing, which I think was a good idea. And eventually, I asked them, because there was some plays that looked like errors to us. Like there was a fly ball to the outfield,
8 and
which
9.
the center fielder should have tried to get. But then he kind of looked like he let the right fielder get it, but the right fielder didn't want it. It landed between them. So we weren't sure if that was an error. The top half of the scoreboard wasn't working to begin with, so I couldn't see if it was an error or not. So we put it as F8 or 9, and actually they told us they gave it as a hit because they were both of them were too far away in the end. But yeah, we asked, is there like a website we can look at to see the official scoring? So after that, we didn't have to. I felt bad about kept bothering them. I didn't want to ask them too many questions. So we found their website, and as I was looking on their website, they had all the lineups and everything, and I wasn't really paying too much attention until one of the batsmen came up, and I looked at the lineup, and batsman was Brandon Cleveland. And I looked, and I was like, that name sounds familiar. And I was like, I'm sure that's somebody who I taught. And I was like, so I looked it up, I Googled, and sure enough, yeah, it was somebody who used to go to the school that I teach at, and yeah, he played for Norfolk State now. He actually played at a couple of places. He played at Patrick Henry. It says he spent 3 seasons there. He had 258 with 1 run scored, 33 steals as a sophomore in 2021. Batted .308 with 2 homers, 10 extra base hits, and 21 steals in the pandemic-shortened 2020 season. And he drove in 23 runs and stole 19 bases while hitting .316 as a freshman. It mentioned at high school he was a second-team All-Cardinal District as a senior, and he helped them to the 5A state championship game his senior year. And yeah, I also saw a tweet from them as well. Congratulations to Brandon Cleveland on breaking Patrick Henry's career stolen base record. Cleveland has 68 career stolen bases and 28 stolen bases on the year. And in May 2021, Brandon actually tweeted out, I'm blessed and excited to announce that I have committed to Norfolk State University to continue my academic and athletic career. I would like to thank my coaches, teammates, and family for all my support. So yeah, there was the transfer in there. And it looked like this game was going to be, I want to say dull, but because you were enjoying doing the scoring and that, and it was like home runs and things. But 5 down, it was like, I was like, they need to come back at some point. And then they did. Did they get 4? Well, you got the scores there. Did they get 4 in 1 inning, or did they get all 5 in 1 inning? Do you know?
Which one?
What do you mean, which one? Coppin. They were 5 down. Did they get the 5? They got them back? We know they got it back because it was a tied game. So normally on double headers, you don't play 4 games, you play 7 innings. So they kind of needed it.
I don't know. They probably got it back in multiple innings.
All right. Well, I'm looking. I have the official scorecard here, but I was checking to see if you had it. In the 5th inning, they did get 5. Norfolk got 2 in the 6th, but then in the 7th, Coppin got 2 as well to take it into extra innings. And then Norfolk State got 1 more run in the 8th, so they actually won the game 8-7.
Yeah.
Now, you did ask me. You were actually ready to go in, like, the top of the 8th. And you were like, I'm ready to go now, I'm cold. I was like, well, we can get your coat. I was like, I'm not leaving now. Like, I want to stay for a little bit. You did ask me at one point, how long are the games? And I said, major league games for me are typically going to be about 3 hours. So college games probably going to be about 2 hours 30, something like that. This game was 2 hours and 52, and it went into only 8 innings. So it can vary quite a lot. And we decided at this point, we weren't going to, I said, I did give you the choice earlier. I was like, if you want to go to the wrestling, we got to kind of leave around this inning. And you were like, nope, I want to stay for the whole game. And I was like, I'm quite okay doing that. That's a lot less driving for me to do. The second game of the doubleheader, which we didn't see, finished Norfolk 2 and Coppin State 3. And that game finished in 2 hours and 5 minutes. So they can vary quite a lot. And the game this afternoon, we're actually recording on the Sunday after this was that we went to, so the day after. The first game of the doubleheader, I think it said it was 19 to like 3 or 4 or 5. It was kind of a lot. So yeah, Norfolk won pretty easily. That game was 3 hours and 5 minutes, I think it said. So it really does vary. It can change a lot. It said the attendance for the game that we went to, JJ, was 125. It said the attendance for the second of the games was 125. And I did see that the attendance for the first game of the doubleheader today was actually 75. So there was less people there today. I also saw for the play ball thing, I put this at the end because I didn't want to run too much into this, March 26th in Orlando, because it said that they were different events. As kids ran around the all-infield dirt, former Major League infielder Carlos Borguera watched and reminisced about the time when he was once in their shoes. Borguera, a 3-time All-Star, played 14 years in the big leagues with 6 teams, and he spent 8 seasons with Cleveland. For Borguera, the opportunity to give back to the game of baseball allowed him to follow in the footsteps of his role model, Roberto Clemente. That was a thing my father taught me, Borguera said. He loved what Roberto Clemente did for so many years. Give to people, give to the kids, do clinics, go to schools, go to the hospitals. All right, I said his name about 4 times to see if you recognized it. Jackson, do you recognize the name Carlos Borguera?
No.
I hope that's how you pronounce it. You've met him. You have his autograph on a ball. When we went to the Lake County Captains up in Cleveland, there was like a bounce thing, and you spent most of the day on there. He was there signing autographs. We bought a ball from the shop. We got the ball signed, and we brought it home. I know it was you and not Mason that went there. So you were probably very little though. You might have only been about 4. You might have been 3.5 with it being the summer. So it was either 3.5 or 4.5. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, wow, that's him again. So yeah, it was Puerto Rican Baseball Day, and it took place at the University of Central Florida softball complex. And they mentioned the same sort of things that you did. Now, actually, there was only 3 of these events for the whole month of April. The one that you went to, there's one at Jackie Robinson Day, Play Ball in Vero Beach, Florida. And then there's one more at Mississippi Valley State in Missouri. So, yeah, we were kind of lucky that we, because obviously the other one I just mentioned in Florida as well would have been way too far. So we were lucky that we had one within an hour of where we were. Now, one other thing I said that we should probably do, and you obviously didn't have a chance to plan for this, was if we're going to do a baseball podcast, we should probably talk about some of the things that happened in baseball as well this week. Now, there was one story that particularly caught my eye as well, and I'm going to start first of all from January 11th of this year, JJ. Yeah. The Omaha, Nebraska native received her bachelor's degree in kinesiology and exercise science from the University of New Mexico, where she was a catcher on the softball team. She then earned a master's degree in sports administration from LSU, while also serving as a graduate assignment strength and conditioning coach. Now you're asking me, who is this person? Well, Balkovich was also the first woman to be hired as a full-time strength and conditioning coach in affiliated baseball. And the New York Yankees announced today that Rachel Balkovich has been named the manager of the Tampa Tarpons, the Yankees' low A affiliate. She is the first full-time female manager in the history of affiliated baseball at the major or minor league levels. Now, you might be saying I said this was going to be in this week in baseball. I just said that was January. April 9th this came out, so this was actually, the event actually happened the day before on a Friday. Rachel Balkovich became the first woman to manage an MLB affiliated team, and she got a win on her debut. The team won 9-6, and she said, "I've never heard my name chanted like that. It was such fun." Again, I just see, it's like me sitting in the stands, 15, 20 years ago, and it's so cool. So yeah, that was kind of an interesting thing. A female manager for a team, and also becoming the first person to get a win as a female manager as well. And the other story is, because I think I told you this, JJ, MLB actually started this season. Oh, that was a question as well. MLB started this week, because you asked me, like, how many games has Coppin played? And I said, oh, not many. I was like, the season's only just started. They played 30 games before this, so their season must start, like, a month before the major leagues. So the other story I wanted to talk about was from Phoenix. Seth Beer's game-winning 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th inning hadn't even landed yet Thursday night, and Pavin Smith is already thinking of endorsement deals for his rookie teammates. He hits a homer, dollar beers in the stadium. I mean, that's a layup, right? A rookie player, he hit a walk-off home run on his debut for Arizona. Do you know what a walk-off home run means?
No.
So, you know we talked about how long games can be?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, if you're winning, you don't have to go out and bat again.
Yeah.
So if your team's behind, you do have to go out and bat again. So if your team's behind, as soon as you hit enough runs that you take the lead, that's the end of the game. So supposing they would, and I don't know the situation for this one exactly. It said a 3-run home run. So they were down by at least 1 or 2. He hits a home run, so by the time the third person scores, they already have more runs in the team, so the game ends. They don't carry on batting at that point. So it's kind of like one of the most exciting things you can have in baseball as your team. And that's where your middle name came from. David Ortiz, he hit a lot of walk-off home runs in that year that they won the World Series. Now, I said the other thing we should probably do is we should probably talk about a team and how they're doing, or how they did in each week if we're going to do this.
Mine's the Orioles.
So you're going to do the Orioles? Okay, so I know you haven't seen any of the games, but I know you know how they started. So do you want to talk about how the Orioles are doing as of Sunday?
Well, they're 0-2.
Yeah, they lost their first 2 games against Tampa Bay, and Red Sox are in the same position. 2 bad losses. The bullpen was awful in Game 1, and they had no hitting at all in Game 2. And you also said you want to follow how Coppin State does as well, right? So you might be able to give us little updates on that. Part of the interview that we were going to do, we came home and we didn't watch Pizza Party Wrestling in person, but we did watch a little bit on TV. So this was their 3rd anniversary. First match was Mac 10 versus Pancakes versus Athron Amada. It says versus Ziki Kubish. I do not remember that person being in this match. I think perhaps they were originally supposed to be on the card, and I think they might have changed it. Anything about this match you remember?
No.
All right, well, it was Pancake's birthday.
dominated.
Pancake's birthday, and Pancakes took the win. All right, second match was King Crab versus Brother Greatness. Anything you remember from this one? I don't remember even who won this one.
He was like, Brother Greatness, like, huh? Where's all the seafood? So he was like, King Crab.
He said, I'm going to go to Crab Wrestling, and then he ran off. I don't remember who won. I thought King Crab did, but I'm not sure actually now. And I couldn't find the results that had been posted either. And then the order that was posted on the original card, they didn't follow the same order. We saw the next match. The last match we saw was CPA versus Shay McCoy. So anything from this one?
So CPA kind of looks like a depressed office worker.
Why does he look like that?
Overworked, and he's also looking tired as well.
Oh, okay. And he dresses like that, and he wears a shirt, buttoned-up shirt, and a tie, and I think he wears a tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who won?
I know.
I probably didn't see the end. Shay McCoy won. Shay did a few cannonballs, and Shay took the win. And then you were getting tired, and I'm going to admit I was getting tired as well, so I kind of stopped watching. The only thing I did see, and we should have stayed for the next one, JJ, you would have liked this one. Match 4 was the Hardcore Geeks, Kennedy Copeland and Riley Shepard. Now, I'd seen one Pizza Party event last August, and Kennedy Copeland was in that against CPA. It was really good. Versus the Goons, A.K. Willis and Robbie Radke. And Kennedy Copeland and Riley Shepard came out with light tubes. I don't think you've ever seen a match with light tubes.
No.
So they came out using them as like lightsabers, and
what even are they?
What's a light tube?
Yeah.
Like a light strip.
Oh.
And you can smash them over people. You would have liked that. Kennedy Copeland said that was seriously the best party ever. Happy 3rd birthday, Pizza Party Wrestling. And Riley Shepard said the Hardcore Geeks love a party, especially when swords of light tube varieties are involved. We may or may not have obnoxiously sang Happy Birthday once Pizza Party went off air. And the other matches, but I don't know the results for these, and I don't know which order they came in. Travis Huckabee was supposed to face Austin Luke. Big Gabe Leroy was supposed to face Bobby Orlando. The only thing I saw from that one was Bobby Orlando's goat, Bobby Jr., had a Pizza Party hat on. And Killian McMurphy lost to Brad Rush in the Bull Rope main event. Pizza Party said, thanks to everyone who came out to celebrate 3 years of Pizza Party. Thanks to those who tuned into the live stream on Indie Wrestling. We hope you had fun. We know you did. And that's kind of finishes this one. Now, I don't think most of our episodes are going to be like this anymore, because we're probably not going to be talking wrestling. We're probably just going to be talking baseball instead then, right? However, you do realise this gives us some new options when we go to events now. College baseball's normally in the afternoon. Wrestling's normally in the evening. So if we go somewhere else, we can try and catch a college game in the afternoon, get dinner, and then go to a wrestling event. Yeah. So we got some options to go do some other stuff.
You could go to a WWE event.
If there's some in the area. There is. I told you, there's one on my birthday in Fairfax.
Yeah.
So we might be able to go to that
Wait, was it WWE? Was it the one in George Mason?
George Mason. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the Eagle Bank Arena. Yep. So we have the option of doing things like that. Well, that's going to be on a Sunday, so there might be college.
Fairfax.
Actually, if it's at a college itself, there might be the possibility of seeing a game in the afternoon, going for dinner, and then coming back to the stadium to go and watch the wrestling in the evening. So we might be able to do that. So that's pretty good. All right, you're going to play us some outro music as well then? I don't know if you thought of a phrase to end this with, or I saw you.